Hello everyone, it is episode 8 and it is the 21st of January 2025. I'm joined here again by Max. Max, how you doing?
A lot better. I was MIA last episode. The whole family was sick, but I'm ready for some treasure hunting.
You were on assignment for 2 weeks, but you're back now, so I'm glad to have you
It
back.
was 2 weeks. Oh, wow.
That's right. And management, how you doing, management? We're joined by you again.
I am so excited to actually have some news this week.
What do you want to talk about in particular this week?
Well, in particular, I'm excited to say that I have something going on with me. So I'm going to Philadelphia, and it's an unplanned trip. I've never been to Philadelphia before, so if you have any recommendations, that's awesome. I also love dive bars and playing pool. So if you got recommendations for those, shoot them my way. But I am kind of doing the opposite of what John Collins Black has said, because I hadn't planned on doing this trip to Philadelphia, and it's cutting into my boots on the ground budget. So I am basically looking for clues and ways to tie it to Philadelphia so that I can go and check it out. So if anybody wants to reach out to me and help me out with that, that would be awesome.
I love it. I love the confirmation bias. I love forcing clues into places you want it to be. That's where you can be happy and be really hopeful that you're going to find it.
Right. I mean, it's not the way that it's designed to be done, but I'm going to Philadelphia. Might as well turn it into a treasure hunt anyway.
It'll be a good coincidence if it does turn out to bring some clues. But be safe out there. I saw one Reddit commenter saying they did some boots on the ground, and it's not as bad as the SoCal fire. So first things first, SoCal prayers, and hopefully everything gets fixed over there. But they're saying there's some other disasters or some other minor things going. They saw closed roads and closed entrances. So just be safe out there, whatever you do.
Absolutely. Safety first, then teamwork.
Wait a second, wasn't National Treasure a big part of it filmed in Philadelphia? Like the Liberty Bell, and there's a whole
Yeah, Liberty Bell and Independence Hall are both in Philadelphia and in National Treasure. There's a lot of American history there.
If John Collins Black didn't tie one of these hunts to the National Treasure movie, I'm going to be severely disappointed. So you have a second vote that Philadelphia is a place to be. That has to be. If he doesn't tie it to National Treasure, shame on you.
Yes, and then of course, as always, secret societies. There's some way that secret societies are tied to this treasure hunt, because you can't talk about American clues and hunting treasure without including information about the founding fathers and secret societies. But I'm still wrapping my brain around that one.
One thing I want to talk about this week was we got a lot of buzz on the treasure hunt we put up last week, the treasure hunt token treasure hunt. So I wanted to run through the solution for those that were looking at it. So we put up treasure hunt 103 for $25 last week. And what it was a picture of a running track and some jelly beans on top of the track. Now, those who were very astute thought, why don't I Google jelly beans and track together? If you put those two together in Google, one of the first results you get is the Jelly Bean Track in New South Wales, Australia, where I'm from. And the very first line there said, "A perfect blue mountains." And on the map of the treasure hunt was 4 words, and it had the letters of "A perfect blue mountains" at the very bottom. It was very, very easy. That person picked up $25 to do it. So congratulations to the person that listened to the podcast and picked up those. We're going to put another one up this week. We're going to put up another treasure hunt, this time for $30. And it is going to be treasure hunt 143. Again, going to be a very simple treasure hunt. Someone picked up $25 last week. You can be the one that picks it up this week. I would recommend going pretty quickly after this episode is posted, because it was sold very quickly last time. And we have to come up with a code for this week. What can our code be? Something like Philadelphia, Philly Special. How about that? Philly Special could be the code this week for the treasure hunt.
There you go.
Philly, how about let's do Philly cheesesteak, since you mentioned that.
That is a long one for people to remember, though. Philly cheesesteak.
Okay, go for it. Say yours again.
Philly Special. Let's do Philly Special. So go to www.treasurehunttoken.com, press the play now on the top right, and find treasure hunt 143. The code will be Philly Special, only for people who listen to this podcast. The solution will be on a website somewhere on the internet. Put the solution in, you'll get $30, just like last week when someone got 25.
And hey, Chaz, can we give a bonus if they send us a shout out, whoever solves it, either on X or Reddit or Discord, and say, "Hey, I solved it."
Yes, we can do that. So whoever solves it, if you go on Reddit or Discord and say you solved it, say what the solution was, we'll add another, say, $10 to the person who solved it, and we'll send it to the wallet of the person who solved it. Good idea, Max. Let's do that.
There you go. Let's do it.
And X too, can they use X?
Of course they can. Any way they want. They can do whatever they want.
Just a social shout out in general.
That's right.
Sweet.
Okay, so let's go to the drop that everyone loves. Let's go to the news of the week. Management, you put up the two topics for this week. Do you want to run us through what the news of the week is this week?
Absolutely. So there wasn't anything crazy that really happened this week, but I did post a poll in Discord asking what everybody's favorite Indiana Jones or best Indiana Jones movie was. And 50% of the people that responded said it's Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Hitting the hard issues this week.
Oh, absolutely. It's top notch of importance. I mean, that's like the original treasure hunting movie, right?
You may not know this, but I've actually conducted this poll with people throughout my life of what the best Indiana Jones movie is. I've never actually heard anything different than the third best being Temple of Doom. Everyone always rates that third best. Second being...
That's my favorite.
Okay, well, you're weird. Okay, second being... second being Raiders of the Lost Ark. The best one being... objectively, The Last Crusade, which people call the Cup one. That is objectively the best one, and I don't even know how it's close.
I was going to say, is that how your list ranks too?
Yeah, of course it is. It's my list,
Okay.
and everyone I've ever spoken to has it in that order. And I used to say to people how that is the one thing people agree on is the order of Indiana Jones movies. You've just come in and proved me wrong with this poll.
Well, you're asking Australians, and they're a little off.
Okay, you got me
Shots
back.
fired.
But I mean,
Temple of Doom's awesome. Temple of Doom has Short Round. He's an awesome character. Has that really ditzy blonde lady that is just kind of, the typical dumb blonde character. They have the whole like satanic rituals thing going on.
yeah, you're not
The glowing
selling it.
stones.
You're not selling it. It doesn't sound good. I mean, Sean Connery in the one, you got the puzzles and you got the Nazis fighting, like the ultimate evil. Anyway, we're spending way too much time on Indiana Jones in this podcast. Let's move on to the next.
Well, so the first part of the news of the week is that I got rejected from the National Park Service. So I'm going to give everybody a little bit of a clue of how I've been personally going about solving this treasure hunt. I'm not even close when I say going about solving it, so far off. But I need a little help. So right after I started reading the book, I went to the mindset of where is the treasure not versus where the treasure is. And early on, a lot of the chatter was about the legality of hiding the box in the national parks.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I wonder if maybe we can go into, because I played around with a geocache website, and I wonder if maybe there's a chance that he might have registered over there, if that would cover some legal aspects of it.
So you can't really hide geocaches in national parks. They don't allow it. National parks have very strict rules about staying on paths. There are a lot of reasons that I was like, if he was to hide it in a national park, then he was going to have to get permission of some sort. So I decided that I was going to file an open records request according to the Freedom of Information Act with the NPS. Now, I submitted this maybe a month ago. Everybody don't flood the channels with FOIA requests. I'm sure other people have, but what I'm looking for is somebody who's like a legal beagle. I don't care if it's just your hobby, if you are a lawyer, if you're a paralegal, if you read legal books while you were in prison, but I need somebody that can help me rephrase my request because they haven't rejected it, but they've put me on hold, which means I'm already in the queue. But the problem is I wasn't specific enough in my request. So if there's anybody out there that has experience writing open records requests, please reach out.
Yeah, you bring a good point. I saw a similar comment on Reddit, and I went and asked Gemini, the AI, about it, and kind of confirmed it. It said, yes, you absolutely need to consider the legal implications, and I'll just hit the bullet points, not the details. It says, due to resource protection, also for visitor safety, and then archaeological and cultural sites. And then it has another bullet point under permits and approvals, and it says you would likely need to obtain specific permits or approvals from the NPS before conducting any type of treasure hunt activity within the park. These permits would likely include the environment assessment, safety plan, and the archaeological clearance. And potential penalties are even there where the violations can result into fines and even arrest. And then finally, there's a disclaimer coming back to the management's request. It says this is just for general information. Check with the actual lawyer or someone with legal knowledge.
Oh, Jesus. I feel like we're all having fun here and the lawyer team just showed up. Like, I like the romanticism of the hunt, looking at a book, looking at clues, trying to figure it out, and then you guys have come in and brought in a bunch of lawyers trying to interrogate the National Park Service. I'm on Team JCB here. I'm not on board with this kind of backdoor activity trying to find out where it is.
I'm
I
all
think
about the sneaky backdoor activity. I'm totally for narrowing it down.
I wonder if you put some federal eyes on JCB now.
You
So,
should have thought about that.
so what? So
I
Arrest
think he
warrants.
did.
you should have thought about that. So, what you're trying to get out of this is that it's going to narrow down where he didn't put it if you don't have any information of requests in certain areas, correct? Or are you trying to find a certain request where an application was put in?
So if he had to fill out an application, there could be an application that he had to fill out. There could be some sort of email. Government emails are subject to FOIA requests. He has had to contact the National Park Service in some way at some point if he did actually hide a treasure in a national park legally. Now, he could have done it illegally, and there's not going to be anything I can find. But let's say that he hid it in Yellowstone, or there's one hidden in Yellowstone. There will be some government documentation if he has received permission that is subject to a FOIA request, either from him, his publishing company, maybe he put it in his wife's name or his kid's name. But I need somebody that can help me flush out the details to get specific enough to where it takes a reasonable amount of time so government employees aren't spending a ton of time digging up this information for my silly treasure hunt, because I'm sure they have better things to do. But right now they've put my request on hold because it's too broad and it'll take too much time to answer.
Nice. I did want to add one more thing because one of the comments to the other Reddit users' comment was within these national parks, there's a lot of private land also. So there's some national parks around here in Northern California, and there's areas that are cut off and private. So who knows if he might have purchased some land or got someone to allow him to use their property. So that could be a backdoor where he didn't have to register with any of the parks.
That's super smart. And I think even in the rules or the guidelines for the safety, he says that the only exception he can think about things being on private land is passing through a private easement that has been designated for public use in a national park. So that's a solid point. I'm hoping something turns up, and if nothing turns up, for me, I'm eliminating national parks from my search area. That leaves a lot of other public lands, but national parks out of there.
When you first came on the show, I said your name is the management. Were your parents accountants or something? I think
Yeah,
maybe you should just. I think you should just change it to the firm, because that's what it sounds like. The
right.
firm is looking into it, looking for the backdoor solution, requests to government agencies.
I think it's a pretty slick move there. Very clever. Narrowing down where it could be or where it could not be, it's very, very clever. So if you get any, oh, well, yours was rejected. So I don't know. Are you going to reapply for a new one or?
So it wasn't fully rejected, it just wasn't accepted, which is what the first place loser always says. So it was just put on hold. So I'm already in a queue. If you go and submit a FOIA request tomorrow, you're going to get in the queue behind me. I'm already in the queue. I just have to reformulate my request, and then bing, bang, boom, I'm at the top of the list.
So there is some person at a desk at some sort of federal agency that is being requested for information to get more information on a treasure hunt that they're having to deal with like on a Monday morning, and they're thinking, why am I spending my time on this? Why are people bothering me on this?
That's what my tax dollars are paying for. That's what I want them going towards, is people answering my treasure hunt questions.
All right.
Yeah, I want to add one more thing to this. I'm wondering if he's willing to risk legal action to not give up any type of clues to these administrative offices and register for these these permits that he might need.
It's totally possible. I'm not saying he can't. I'm saying I think with the forest fin hunt and how there was so much question of legality with that one, and him obviously drawing inspiration with that, that he probably has crossed his T's and dotted his I's, and I think this is one of them.
Got it.
In other exciting news, we now have a website. There's treasurehinsideedition.com, and you can go there and it'll have all the links to the episodes on different platforms, and hopefully it'll grow and we can put some other stuff on there in the future. But check it out.
I'm so excited that we've made it into the 90s. And I think as we progress through the decades, we might even start adding like social media channels and that sort of thing as well. Okay, well, let's move on. Let's move on to a segment we have called Highlights of the Week with no drop. You're all expecting a drop, weren't you? I have no drop. Let's move on to the highlights of the week. So let me start off. I'm going to start off by talking about the past and future box this week and the highlights of what people have been talking about. There was one person who has a YouTube channel, and it's not like he's posted a lot of videos, but his YouTube channel is called Treasures Galore, and he posted a video this week. It was very, very simple, but I thought it spoke volumes to some things that people are missing that are so obvious, including myself. And he was talking about a particular sentence or paragraph within the past and future box, which all this is based on. And it reads, as from John Collins Black in the book, as I was writing this book, I would often look at our futuristic style treasure box as it sat in my office. Its surface would reflect a state of gold. That's important. From the sunshine through my window, it seemed to beckon me, eager for me to dispatch it quickly somewhere I loved. Okay. First of all, it may have been pointed out before, but I totally missed it. I'm not the smartest tool in the box. Sharpest tool in the box. Let's get it right. State of gold. What's the golden state? Max, do you want to chime in on this?
It's obviously the California.
California, very correct. And you could say somewhere very quickly. He wanted to dispatch it very quickly. JCB lives in California. So if you're going to dispatch it somewhere quickly, what would you do? You would put it somewhere very close to where you live, right?
Exactly. Where in California does he live? I missed that.
He lives in LA, a suburb of
Okay.
LA, and thankfully he was clear of the fires. We checked into that as well. He's doing fine. He actually posted a video on Instagram, by the way, saying thank you for everyone who was concerned, but he's doing fine. His house is fine, etc.
And hopefully he didn't hide it because I'm sure those hills are close, within an hour or two of his home, wherever it is.
That's right. But there was another part of the book that Treasures Galore was referring to. Chapter 12, The Massive Gold Rush Nugget. In there, he talks about how, and this is quoting it directly, the miners began calling California the Golden State. This moniker later became official. I've now called California my home for over 20 years. It's a place I love. Are we kind of glossing over how obvious this is? He said it showed a state of gold, and I put it somewhere I love. And then in another part of the book, he says it's the place I love. It seems very obvious to me after reading this. I didn't get it at first, but it takes someone just to point out the obvious sometimes for everyone to say, "Oh, that could be it."
Weren't some people pointing towards Lake Tahoe? But the only thing is, Lake Tahoe from LA, I mean, a flight, it's probably a 2.5 hour flight, but driving, it's a long distance.
That's what I was going to say is the coin angle lines up with that corner of California and Nevada. And everybody thinks that that means that it's in California. And I'm like, why can't it be in Nevada? But your point, Chaz, with the Gold State, I hadn't picked up on that personally, and I just read the chapter. So I think it's a one of those hit you right in the face things.
It seems to be. I don't know how everyone has missed it. I mean, I haven't read many people talking about that, but to me it sounds like that's what it is. Like it's almost indisputable that it's in California based off that. And whether it's in Lake Tahoe or close to his home, could be either, but just the fact that it seems to be in California, I think seems very, very strong based on those two things.
No, I'm convinced the way he worded that. Now, Lake Tahoe, maybe not, but we also have Yosemite National Park in Central California, and then closer to him, you have those mountains, the Big Bear Mountains, and okay, I'm interested.
There's a lot of BLM land in California as well, isn't there?
A
What's
lot.
BLM?
Bureau of Land Management.
Oh,
It's one
you're
of
right.
the classifications of public land.
I'm looking at the geocache website, and if and you look at any map, you'll see a lot of green, and that's usually forest or some kind of national park.
So thanks to Treasures Galore, I check out his YouTube channel. He has just a couple videos on this treasure inside, but the fact that he breaks that down so simply, I thought was a great job. And shout out to Hooli on Discord for pointing out that video. I didn't know it existed until she posted that.
So it might just be hitting us in the face, but I think everything that John Collins Black is doing in the entire book, it has two meanings. Anything that seems obvious has two meanings at least, if not more. For instance, when we talked to Froggy a couple weeks ago, he mentioned the national park logo and it being the point, tree, and seeing eye. The national park's logo is a arrowhead being the point. The there's a tree depicted on it, and then there is a very singular buffalo eye right in the middle of the logo. But DC is also home to the National Park Service. And the point could be referring to the Washington Monument. The tree, although it's pretty vague, DC is famous for its cherry trees in the springtime. And then the seeing eye being the all seeing eye, aka the man, again tying into secret societies with the obelisk and the all seeing eye. And just it could just refer to the government in general.
But it seems to be going two levels down, right? We were talking about the sign, never going to Washington, D.C. I guess it could make sense. But how would you tie the cherry tree and the government together? I guess that's what we need to do is take that information and go forth from there.
Well, if you'd like to know, the National Park Service home is part of the Department of the Interior, which its office is right on the National Mall that is lined with the cherry trees.
So it's in front of their office.
Correct.
Okay. And you, okay, sorry. I don't know what I'm saying.
Your Australian is showing.
Okay, so that's Forest Fen box cover for this week. Didn't you also have more thoughts on the Appalachian Trail box?
The AT box is kind of non-news. I know after the last couple of weeks and all this scandalous information coming about the open street maps, that Vermont is losing a lot of popularity in the chatter. I don't see anything particularly picking up other than North Carolina, which has always been the number 2 contender, but I've not seen any other states jumping out as like main solves for people as an alternative to Vermont.
I mean, I think you're right. The AT box was going pretty hard in the beginning. It's really slowed down a little bit, especially like you said, people thinking it was in Vermont and that kind of being disproven to some extent. So if you're new to treasure, there's treasure inside. The AT trail might be one you want to look into because it seems like people are kind of starting from scratch again.
Absolutely. The open street map thing has really just swept the rug out from underneath everybody.
Well, that just about wraps it up this week. We went through a lot of different topics this week. No guests this week, but we have a lot of good guests coming up in the next few weeks. So, management, again, how can people find you on the interwebs?
So I mostly have a YouTube channel where where I make videos, of course, that's what's on YouTube. And I explain my thought processes that go into my research, not necessarily solves. But this week I'm going to be releasing a video tying connections and themes into the second part of the book between there's some continuity between all four boxes that I think is really interesting. And so I'm going to show you how to extract those clues. My YouTube handle is at the management AT. So it's THEMGMTAT.
And Max, do you want anyone to contact you this week at all?
If they need to contact me, they can go either on our link tree, Treasure Hunt Token, or they can go to our YouTube. I'll get all the messages, or even the email that you gave out a couple weeks ago.
But do you want them to contact you?
No. Keep me as anonymous as you can, because if I find a treasure, I'm running with it alone. I'm just kidding.
Okay,
Mysterious Max.
It's been a great week this week to go through all that. We'll catch you all next week, and we'll have a lot more content to talk about next week as well. See you later, everyone.
Take care, everyone. Happy hunting and be
Thanks.
safe.